Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Exciting week, driver launch for Cobra. Quite an exciting launch for them.
Yeah, they're bringing back the LTD, which was a driver that was very popular, so popular in fact, and so well performing that it was a driver that Bryson chose to use a lot of last year. A lot of people will remember when he drove it over the pond at Bay Hill. He was using the original LTD with the big space port on the bottom, and they brought a lot of that technology back to this driver.
Yeah, they really couldn't prize that one out his hands, could they? I mean, they were giving him rad, and they were giving him, you know, drivers speed zone and different ones from the previous years, but he always defaulted back that he just couldn't quite match the performance that he got out of his original LTD.
Yeah, and one of the things he's talked about, and we see it on TV and Shot Racer, he prefers to play a draw to get as much as he can out of the driver, and the high toe shot was something that he struggled with.
Yeah.
And with the new driver and bringing the neutral CG back, it really does stabilize the head more towards the toe again for him and other people that miss there.
Without diving too deep into the technicalities of centers of gravity and things like that, what Bryson needs and what the average Joe needs are different, right? That's what we've got to say. Like, you know, the fact they've went away from that is not a bad thing, you know, or you know, the fact they were making drivers that way wasn't a bad thing for the consumer, but it wasn't for everyone. There were some players out there who didn't really perform that well when the CG was that low. Like we talked about, those higher hits would destabilize a little bit. The driver was maybe a little bit unstable, high in the head perhaps, as they catered towards a specific player type. Whereas with this, you know, zero center of gravity, it's going right through the middle of the face, and that stabilizes all around the centered strike.
And I think it's something that we see from fittings is players that are generally over the top are going to miss higher on the head.
Yeah.
Right? So they're exposing that top line a lot more. And when you have three options in this line as well, so you have the LS, the standard X, and then the Max, the more draw bias version, you can fit all of those players. You can fit the low spin player, you can fit the player that needs that more draw bias. So they're offering it all in this with, you know, new technology as far as the face is concerned, new shaping, and all that packed into these three drivers.
Love it. Mikey, you were in Arizona for the launch.
Yep.
What was the buzz? I mean, they had Bryson there, they had Kyle there. Obviously, I mean, what an exhibition they put on Bryson. Obviously, with the clips have been going out the last couple of days, he reached his highest ever personal best ball speed, 121.
Yeah, 121 was hit. 120 was the goal, and he hit it, and there was a lot of pump-up music, listening to some AC/DC, and a lot of people screaming for him. So yeah, it was cool to see a personal record. I mean, the cool thing with LTDx is Bryson's loved LTD. I mean, you know, I got to play golf with Blair O'Neill. She still played LTD for the longest time as well,
really?
with an old gargoyle shaft in there, and now she's gone to LTDx. She loves the performance of it, and you know, to take that shape and a little bit of tech from there and introduce it into LTDx is really impressive. The chassis of it's a lot more, you know, stable. I know they had that one kind of T-rail basically in rad, but now having that, you know, looks like more of a skeleton. It, you know, again, the story of this year is stability, and we did a little bit of testing out in Arizona, and you know, for the first time, you know, since I've been in the industry, this is probably the most excited I've been over Cobra product. F9 was great. This has got something different to it. So excited to do some further testing.
Well, we're going to throw them, the ones that we wouldn't use a draw bias driver for you, so we will leave the Max test to another day. We'll leave that to a more appropriate tester, but we are going to test the X and the XLS with you, both in 9 degree. Let's have a little look at that. I'm really keen to look at the dynamic loft on both. One has a weight deep back in the head, one has 2 weights forward in the head. I think that could be quite interesting in terms of how that influences. We've talked a little bit about, you know, dynamic loft and how center of gravity influences the shaft deflection. I think we could get into that in a fun way today, because ultimately we're using the same loft and head, but we're using sort of 2 different centers of gravity.
Love it. Cool. Okay,
let's take a little look. All right, Michael. Amongst the group, I would say you're by far the best driver of the golf ball. Accuracy. You're a very accurate driver of the ball. True story?
Oh, it's true story. It's just not long.
I know, you know, you want to hit it further, but you do hit a lot of fairways. So we have you in the Spanish bowling alley.
Yeah,
that is the 18th at Valderrama. I mean, this is unbelievably difficult. Maybe not as much in this case because you do hit, well, no, it actually is going to become quite difficult. Nice. You know, you're going to run out of fairway about 280, 285. The tough thing for the tour players is that obviously for them, you know, kind of takes driver out their hands unless you want to take something crazy on. So it's kind of like a little right to left fairway wood off the tee. So this should be pretty good for you. But it's also going to really test this driver and how stable, we keep using that word, it is.
Love it.
Okay.
Lovely.
Attaboy. Attaboy, look at this. That is perfecto.
I'll tell you, for the non-max head, it sits a bit shut, but I think it's because of the carbon, the way it kind of finishes at the heel. The driver looks massive.
Great ball, Mike.
Get through it. Attaboy. I'll tell you what, far from a centered one, it was low toe and got tons out of that 145 efficiency, 150 ball speed.
Low toe and still a bit of spin to keep it up.
It's pretty good. Really pretty good.
Close. Closer.
Find the gap, Michael. Attaboy. Very nice. Excellent. All right, Mikey boy. Again, foresight's not doing you any favours here with the kind of strike illustration, you know, that it's basically off the face. We know it wasn't. There's no way you can achieve 144 efficiency when it's that low on the toe, but it is what it is. We know that's where you were striking them roughly, though.
Yeah.
The driver performed really well.
Yeah, it was stable.
Yeah, I mean, on the miss hit, you'd look up and you'd be like, you know, not ideal in strike, but you got away with it for sure.
It wasn't what I was expecting, to be truthful. I was expecting you to struggle a little bit with the X. I thought it might be a little bit on the kind of high side, but it really wasn't.
Yeah.
The launch was I mean, launch is a byproduct of strike, obviously, and if we are a little bit low, we're deflecting that head down a little bit, especially if the CG is, you know, moving up ever so slightly through the middle of the face. But I'll be curious to see what this LS does.
Yeah, I mean, this LTDx, it sits closed, which is not really normally like a big thing for me, but maybe for me, I don't want to sling it too far close because I do like to hit a bit of a draw, you know, call it a playable pull.
What setting is your Sim 2 at?
One click lower.
Right, so, and with twist face, drivers tend to look a little bit more open because of that recessed toe.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, probably this one sits pretty square. I wouldn't be kind of too quick to you know, tell everyone that this is a closed face driver. But it's more closed relative to where you
I'm
play
used
yours.
to, yeah.
All right, let's put LS in there and see how you get on with that. Okay, pretty pleased with the performance of the X head there, just the standard head. I think that's probably going to cover the widest range of players. They meet the bell curve. The LS might be a little bit more towards the player trying to cut a little bit of spin, maybe the kind of right to left player, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the adjustability on the bottom too. I mean, it comes in a couple different lengths, and I know you mentioned it, Mike, like they have the option to kind of mess around with those, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, this is 10 and 3, and you can obviously move those heel or toe, and then if you order something shorter from them, they offer a 14 and 6 gram weight. I know we're going to have a few of those for the studio to play around with, just to be able to kind of dial it in a little bit further. Yeah,
with the amount of shafts we carry, the variance and balance point these days, it is vital to have those options that you can kind of change weight around to really either performance or preference of the player and try and dial that in that little bit more. Okay, same tee shot. I mean, there was 4 really good drives. It was actually the last, the one that blocked into the rough on the right was a great drive, one of your longest, but it's just such a tough tee shot.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can get a couple out there even further. Nice, Mikey boy.
Well done.
Couldn't have drawn it up any better than that one.
It was a lot of effort to make that go left. Strike's a bit higher.
Mm-hmm. It's really good. Too good. I'm gonna run out a little bit of room there. Aye, cool.
The minute you screw up.
Almost 300 yards there.
It's a good one there. Just run out of room.
Close.
It's a really good drive. It's just a tough tee shot.
Yeah.
It's a tee shot that requires a little draw and nothing else. So you literally don't get away with anything else.
That was really good.
Benny.
Again, you hear the pitch change, so it wasn't a centered one.
Yeah, a little low toe.
Yeah, it was definitely wasn't in the meat of the club, but it is remarkable how much both heads have dealt with kind of misses tonight.
Yeah.
It really is. That's my takeaway here. I'm most impressed with how both heads have dealt with miss hits. Let's kind of look at the ball data. Make sure. Yeah. So fractionally quicker, Mikey. Just under a mile an hour, 0.7. Yep. Efficiency's coming out quite similar. Ball data has you launching the LS actually slightly higher and spinning it lower. We can definitely see that is strike related.
Yeah.
Now again, exaggerated on the reflection on those two strikes, but the higher strike is obviously going to launch it a little bit higher, spin it a little bit lower. Oh, but no, I mean it looks good. I know the couple that we hit that were some mishits, they still sounded good. You kind of got away with them a little bit more. You know, being able to play with the weights and stuff. I like it. It's a clean looking driver. Okay, bonus round. You didn't know this was coming.
Hit left-handed.
Mikey's driver. I just want to know how this is in relation. Okay, so we know there's some real good ones out there with the blue, some good ones with the yellow tracer with the X as well. Yep. Let's see where yours is. Okay. That's a nice flight. How'd you hit that one? Yeah, good. Good strike. That's a good drive, Mikey. Little low in the head? Yeah, low toe, little spinny. Pretty good, though. Beauty. Really, really nice. Might be the best one of the bunch. 265 carry. Cut those trees. Get out of here. Okay, so we were very impressed with the performance on the LS. Definitely a contender for you. And one of the reasons I wanted you to hit your driver is for this right here, just to see if it was any better. I think this just goes to show how hard it is to gain a competitive advantage year on year.
Especially with, like, I mean, that's a driver he's been fit for. He's really comfortable with it. But that, to me, is actually one of the impressive things is it's a new driver, hasn't really hit it much. Working with like the first time he really hit it, and we're seeing close to your gamer numbers right off the bat. And that's impressive. Yeah, it's a nice start. Confident to know that you can kind of slide into it right away. And as you know, our season starts to warm up, you start hitting more balls. Obviously, like I said, working on my swing with a coach, you know, if slight changes can happen, then it can only get better. Definitely. Yeah, it's a contender, isn't it? I mean, we've got to say if it's up there with Sim 2, which we all know how good of a driver Sim 2 was, if you know, LS is a comparable driver, I think they've really got something with that. I really do. Yeah, and it's, again, it handled mishits really well. We saw that around the face, like, you know, consistency from driver to driver. We were all roughly in the same area, and just from yourself, like, you're seeing good performance, and now it's about how much more can we really dial that in, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like the, compared to the two drivers, I think LTDx LS for me it just suits my eye a little bit better. I know, like, between shots we were talking about face angle and stuff. It looked like I could square it up a bit easier. I know I've been missing it a little to the right, but the LS just seemed to suit my eye more than anything.
What was the normalized number on the quad there?
For carry,
yeah.
That one was 265.
265. So, it is a downhill tee shot. We just like the tee shot because of how difficult it is.
Yeah.
So 265 when you're 150 ball speed, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's an awful lot. Anyone that's carrying at that and getting another 10, 15 yards out of it is over the moon at 151 ball speed. It's really getting a lot out of that amount of speed. So, yeah, we'll kind of keep checking with kind of your driver and see how it's comparing to the newer tech. Have you hit stealth? Have you hit rogue
I've hit
yet?
stealth twice. I've hit max LS twice. I haven't really taken a deep dive into it, so excited to get.
All right.
Hopefully you're open for a fitting so I can get a fit on from you and we'll be good to go.
I'm closed for the year.
Oh,
Closed
okay.
for the year. For you, Michael, always open.
Smashing.
Yeah, I think this was a really good little test. Lots of cool takeaways. Again, for me, how the driver dealt with the misses.
That's the biggest thing. Like, we talk about it. Mike, you and I had Jose from Cobra on our podcast, and the one thing he talked about is how much better these drivers can handle mishits for, across the board, across the whole, like, 3 heads that they offer, right? So you put this in a player that's going to miss those shots around the face. We said it a lot this year, stable really is the name of the game when it comes to drivers and offering consistency to players. We're seeing that now, and I think the more you dial this driver in, you're going to see even more.
Yeah, I mean, the bonus is Bryson actually likes the Cobra driver this time, so that's a tick for win on Cobra's end.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously his input is going to get deeper the longer he's with the company. He'll spend more time with engineers and hopefully, for our friends at Cobra, because they are friends now, we all felt a little for them, back at the Open Championship with that one. And, it's tough to stick a microphone in someone's face the minute after they got off the course. They're still a little hot under the collar. But, I'm really, really pleased for the guys at Cobra that this driver looks to be a real winner in the Bay.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. The bracket's looming. We're going to be testing this up against the other great drivers that are out in the market this year. And I think once we get that head-to-head, the bracket is going to look a little bit different this year. We're going to see multiple different players, multiple different swing speeds. The winner will have to perform well in all categories, with different types of players with different swing deliveries. So I think we might have a more rounded look at what is the true best driver of the year.
Because I think what we want to try and offer is always the education side of things, because we want to reflect golfers that people see in themselves, right? We're not always going to deliver it perfectly, but we're going to try our best.
Yeah.
And we're not going to hit every shot perfectly. And if we can help, show how a driver can handle mishits, you can see how you handle a misfit, it's easier to really dial that club in for every person.
Yeah, love it. Okay, guys, stay tuned. More driver testing to come. We'll see you again soon.